Okay. Hello. I feel like it's been a while since I've really recorded one of these, so excuse me as I feel awkward. Hopefully you're well as you tune into this. It's currently December 27th as I record this. So Kwanzaa started yesterday, if anybody cares. By the time this gets posted, it'll likely be March, like the first or second week of March. So, hello, time traveler. How's it going? So I'm probably not going to make this super long, but I was just thinking about the idea of how people respond to my energy a lot of the time. The more that I grow in my awareness, the more that I grow in my understanding, the more noticeable it is how people have such a reaction to me just being me. Like sometimes I talk in a weird voice, sometimes I talk up here because that's how I feel like in the moment. And sometimes it's so funny watching people react to that. I just left the vape shop and I happened to use that voice when I was leaving. I was like, okay, have a nice day. And it might have come off as as if I was nervous. I don't know how they perceived it, but the way he looked at me was really funny in hindsight. Because, and then I think a lot of people assume that I'm flirting with them or something. I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people probably think when I use that voice. And I don't know, sometimes that is what's going on. It is a flirtation. It is a manifestation of me thinking that somebody's attractive. But other times it's just me trying to project my voice, trying to be louder, because if I talk at my normal tone, a lot of the times people like to tell me that I'm talking too soft. So sometimes I talk up here because this sound travels better than when I talk down here. And so, the last week or so have been really good for me, I think. I think I've really mastered, or I'm getting close to mastering, the art of live streaming, I guess. Projecting my energy, being pleasant, attracting an audience. I feel like that's been a really big thing for me the last couple of weeks. And I'm super thankful for that. I feel like there's a but. I feel like there's I don't know, I guess the but is that sometimes it gets tiring, sometimes it does get to be draining, but that's why we rest and rejuvenate afterwards, Excuse me for the burp. Also, I think I'm about to not have a counselor anymore. I'm not sure. She told me my insurance denied or whatever was denied, which was a real surprise to me because usually my insurance goes through, so I was like, okay. I don't know. I was already kind of on the fence about having a counselor in the first place. Not because there's anything wrong with her specifically. However, I will say, once again, as I've been tuning into my own energy, as I've been mastering my own energy, I feel like it's really hard for me to have those sorts of relationships. The closest person I have in my life is Paul. And even that is a really up and down sort of situation because, his own insecurities and his demons and all that shit. But yeah, and I don't fault him for it. I don't necessarily hold it against him, but there is an understanding of if you're not going to talk about it, if you're not going to put it out into the open, there's nothing that I can do for you. There's nothing that I can do to help you work through it. If you want to keep it bottled in, if you want to keep it inside, this is something I've seen so many times when I read for other people. This energy of there's one person in the relationship who's just on fire, just glowing, just amazing, just doing what they need to be doing. And the other person, instead of feeling inspired, instead of feeling in admiration or whatever, they get to feeling insecure and feeling down on themselves, and then they manifest that in different ways that negatively impact the other person. And I don't know, one big thing I think about society, about humans, about relationships, is that it's very, very rare to find people who understand how to love without attachment, to love without, I'm trying to find the right words, to love without selfishness, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but you know what I mean? being in a healthy, stable relationship requires you to step outside of yourself sometimes, to not make everything about self, you know? And there's definitely a thing that happens where, like, a lot of the times if I say something, he'll take it as an attack. He'll take it as like a personal thing rather than just like criticism or an observation or my perspective. So it was like, why are you attacking me? Why are you being so judgmental? I was like, I'm not. Like, part of my love language, I've learned, is like information. Like, words of affirmation, sure, but just information. Like, bring truth to the situation. Like, that's how I show love. You know what I mean? And I haven't been able to be in too many relationships, too many connections where I'm able to fully embody that, because a lot of people get a sense of that, get a whiff of that, and they immediately go into defense mode. They immediately go into attack mode. You know what I mean? And if I'm not super on my P's and Q's, then I'll also go into defense mode, and then we'll just be yelling at each other or just saying unnecessary things back and forth, you know? And that's not who I am. Like, I'm a very clear-headed person. You know what I mean? And with this person I just mentioned, they do bring me out of that a lot. And, you know, once again, I'm not holding it against them. I'm not judging them. I'm not blaming them. But it is something that I've noticed. It's something that I have to work with. Something that I have to navigate around, you know? And, I don't know, being in this connection definitely, I feel like, has given me new perspective on these sorts of connections. Like, because before, when people would come to me with this sort of energy, I'd always be like, yeah, you just need to leave them. You just need to stop talking to them. Because for me, up until this situation, it's been so easy for me to just walk away from situations. But this one is a situation where it's like so difficult for me to move on. And so I have a little bit more compassion. I have a little bit more understanding of how people and why people stay in toxic situations. You know, some people stay for social pressure. Some people stay, there's a penny on the ground. Some people stay for financial reasons. Some people stay because they have kids together. There's a lot of reasons why somebody stays in a situation where they probably shouldn't, you know? And it's unfortunate, but like, if you're in one of those situations, you do have to make extra space to protect your energy, to make sure to feel to do things that make you happy. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're with a person like this, they're gonna drain you. They're gonna like find ways to like project their own unhappiness onto you. And it's unfortunate because I almost died. It's unfortunate because if you have a super compassionate heart, you'll understand why they're doing what they're doing. But so many times I'll tell people, like, it doesn't matter why somebody's doing what they're doing. What matters more is the impact that they're having. Like, it doesn't matter if you find out that somebody's stepping on your toes because they're blind. That doesn't matter. Like, sure, you could have sympathy for them, but like, you still have to protect your feet. You know what I mean? You still have to move out of the fucking way. You know? And I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have this attitude of like, if I can understand it, then I can forgive it. Which I think either way you should try to find forgiveness, right? But I don't know, because then I feel like it's a lack of self-respect, quite honestly. It's a lack of self-love. Because if you truly respected yourself, you wouldn't spend so much time, you wouldn't give yourself so freely to people who don't really like you for you. They like you for what you can do for them, which is fine. But like, you know what I mean? They don't like you through and through. They don't want you to be as great as you can be if it doesn't impact them, if it doesn't benefit them, you know? So you really just got to be careful about that, with those sorts of people, about those sorts of connections and all that jazz. And also, by the time this gets posted, once again, it will be March. So I don't know what the link tree, I don't know what the description will look like, but you should definitely check out the link tree and the description down below for different ways to connect with me, different ways to help support me. If you want to do that, if you want to get a reading from me or anything like that, check out the description below. And thanks for listening. Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.